Winning over English fear. Do you ever feel afraid of speaking English? What if everyone laughs at you? What if you make a mistake? Henry felt that fear every day. He was afraid to speak English, especially in front of people. Henry had a big dream. He wanted to speak English confidently. But every time he tried, his heart would race, his hands would shake, and his words would get stuck. Does that sound familiar? Henry worked in a big office. Every day, he saw his colleagues speaking English with ease. They talked so smoothly. Henry wished he could do the same. But the thought of speaking in front of others made him nervous. This is the story of how Henry faced his biggest fear and learned to speak English. His journey is full of courage, practice, and small victories. If Henry can do it, so can you. Henry was a quiet person. He loved to observe, but he didn't like to speak much. He was an office assistant in a big company. Every day, he worked hard at his desk. But there was one problem. His colleagues spoke English so well. Henry knew English. He could read and write. But when it came to speaking, everything felt different. His mouth would go dry. His mind would go blank. He would get nervous and forget everything. At meetings, Henry would listen carefully. He understood every word. But when it was his turn to speak, his voice would tremble. He always worried, what if I make a mistake? What if they laugh at me? Henry didn't want to talk to anyone in English. He started avoiding conversations. He would smile and nod, but never speak much. He was too afraid. One day, his boss, Emily, called him into her office. "Henry, you're doing a great job. But I noticed that you're very quiet during meetings. Is everything okay?" she asked. Henry felt embarrassed. "I'm just shy, Emily. I don't speak well in English," he admitted. Emily smiled kindly. "It's okay, Henry. We all start somewhere. But you need to practice. Don't be afraid to speak. You'll get better." The very next day, something unexpected happened. The office manager made a big announcement. "We are holding an English speaking contest next month," she said, smiling. "Everyone is invited to join. The winner will receive a special prize." Henry's heart stopped. A contest, he thought. I can't do that. His colleagues were excited. "I have so many ideas for my speech." One colleague said, "I'll talk about my travels." Another one said. But Henry wasn't excited. He was scared. What if I can't speak? What if I make a fool of myself? He wanted to hide. He wanted to say, "I'm not joining." But then he thought, maybe this is my chance. Maybe I can learn to speak. He looked around at his colleagues. They seemed confident. Henry felt small in comparison. The manager continued, "This contest is a chance for everyone to practice their English. Don't worry about making mistakes. Just share your thoughts." Henry felt the pressure. He didn't know what to do. Should he join the contest? Or should he stay quiet and avoid the challenge? That evening, Henry went home. He sat quietly at the dinner table. His mother noticed he looked worried. "What's wrong, Henry?" she asked. "There's an English speaking contest at work," Henry said. "I don't think I can do it. I'm too scared to speak." His mother smiled gently. "It's okay to feel scared. Everyone feels nervous when they try something new. But you won't get better if you don't try. You can do this. Henry thought about her words. But what if I mess up? What if I forget my words? He asked. Mistakes are a part of learning, his mother said. If you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. It's just a chance to learn. That night, Henry made a decision. He would join the contest. I will face my fear, he thought. I will try. The next morning, Henry started preparing. He knew he had to practice. He decided to talk about his own experience with learning English. He started writing his speech. At first, it was hard. He didn't know where to start. He struggled to find the right words. But he didn't stop. Every evening, Henry spent time practicing. He would read his speech aloud. He practiced in front of the mirror. He practiced in his room. His words didn't come out perfectly, but he was improving. One evening, he made a mistake. He stumbled over a word and felt embarrassed. But then he remembered his mother's words. It's okay to make mistakes, he reminded himself. I will keep going. As the contest day got closer, Henry's confidence grew. He knew he wasn't perfect, but he was getting better. He wasn't afraid to speak anymore. The day before the contest, Henry felt nervous again. He had practiced a lot, but doubt still filled his mind. What if I forget everything? What if my voice shakes? He thought. At work, Jack, a friendly colleague, saw Henry practicing his speech in the break room. Hey, Henry, you're joining the contest? Jack asked, smiling. Henry nodded, but his voice was uncertain. I'm really nervous. What if I make a mistake? Jack laughed gently. Don't worry, Henry. We all make mistakes. The important thing is to keep going. Just be yourself and share your story. You'll do great. Henry felt a little better after talking to Jack. It's not about being perfect, he thought. It's about trying. Finally, the day of the contest arrived. Henry felt his heart race. He was shaking with nerves. He wore his best clothes and went to the office. He was ready, but also scared. As the contest began, Henry's colleagues spoke confidently. They smiled and spoke clearly. Henry felt small again. He wondered if he was making a mistake by joining. Then it was his turn. Henry, you're up next, the manager said. Henry stood up. His legs felt weak. He walked to the front of the room. The audience looked at him. He felt like everyone was watching him. He took a deep breath. He began to speak. Hello, everyone. My name is Henry. I want to share my story about learning English. At first, his voice was shaky. He couldn't remember the first few words. But then, he looked at the audience. He saw their kind faces. He felt a little better. I was afraid to speak English at first, Henry said. I was afraid of making mistakes. But I practiced every day. And now, I am not afraid anymore. As he continued, Henry's voice became stronger. He spoke slowly, but clearly. He didn't rush. He remembered his mother's advice. It's okay to make mistakes. Henry finished his speech. He looked up. The audience was clapping. He smiled and felt proud. He had done it. After the contest, the manager came up to Henry. Henry, that was wonderful. You spoke so well. I'm proud of you." Henry felt his heart swell with pride. He hadn't won the contest, but that didn't matter. He had faced his fear. That was the real victory. His colleagues came up to him and congratulated him. "You did a great job, Henry," one said. "You were so brave." Henry smiled. He knew this was just the beginning. He had learned that courage wasn't about being perfect. It was about trying, even when you're scared. From that day on, Henry was no longer afraid to speak English. He joined conversations. He shared his thoughts in meetings. He knew that making mistakes was okay. It was part of learning. Henry learned an important lesson. It's okay to be afraid, but you can't let fear stop you from trying. The more he practiced, the better he became. Henry's journey wasn't easy, but it was worth it. And now, every time he speaks, he remembers that day. That day when he faced his fear and found his courage. If Henry can do it, so can you. Don't be afraid to try. Keep practicing. You will get better. Now, let's practice some important words from the story. I will say the word, and you repeat with me. Vocabulary practice. 1. Colleague, a person who works with you, usually in the same organization. 2. Task, a specific piece of work or duty to be completed. 3. Deadline, the latest time or date by which something should be finished. 4. Feedback, comments or opinions about someone's work or performance to help them improve. 5. Schedule, a plan that shows when tasks or activities will happen. 6. Promotion, a move to a higher position in a job, often with more responsibility. 7. Meeting, a gathering of people to discuss a particular topic or agenda. 8. Presentation, a talk or display given to an audience, often explaining or showcasing something. 9. Report, a detailed account or statement about a specific topic, event, or activity. 10. Supervisor, a person who oversees and manages the work of others. After learning these words, use them in your own sentences. It will help you remember them. Now it's your turn. What story do you want in our next video? Write your idea in the comments. We may use it in a future video. Practice every day. Read, speak, and listen to English. Don't worry about mistakes. Keep going and you will improve. Thank you for watching today's story. If you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe to help us grow. We really appreciate your support. See you in the next video.